Coming up on Theater Talk.
Her performance
Frances
is one
McDormand.
of the truest, steady, real performances in the theater this year, I think.
Yeah.
I thought she was perfect.
She's one of those actresses where you don't see the acting.
No,
You
there's
don't see the
exactly.
acting, you see
Boy, I did.
All right, now, all right. So Terry, Mr.
I want
you
to
did-
disassociate myself from everything, except for the parts where he was summing
All right,
up my
Elizabeth,
review.
you let me your chance to have a go at this.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation.
In olden days, a glimpse of stalking was looked on as something shocking, but now God knows anything goes. Good authors, too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words, writing prose. Anything goes.
From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm the show's producer, Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
I think, Michael Riedel, it has been a sensational season in many respects. Wonderful plays have opened, and I'm so glad we're going to talk about it today.
We want to go back and look over the exciting, in many cases, and rather dreadful shows, in some cases, mainly the musicals, that have been on Broadway this season. And we have assembled the old wrecking crew, several prominent members of the New York Drama Critics Circle. We are joined tonight by our old friend Jacques Lesourd of CBS Radio. Welcome, Jacques. Wearing those fabulous glasses. I just love them. Also in fabulous glasses, my colleague from the New York Post, Elizabeth Vincentelli. Welcome to Theater Talk. Hello.
Also in great glasses.
We are a fashionably bespectacled crew today.
Eyeglass salespeople.
We're being sponsored by LensCrafter tonight on Theater Talk. Adam,
Gotta find work. This is it.
That's Adam Feldman, the drama critic for Time Out. Welcome. And our good friend Terry Teachout, the drama critic for the Wall Street Journal.
Wearing ordinary glasses.
Very ordinary.
Understated.
Fashionably understated.
That's right.
All right, guys. As Susan said, the plays this year have really been very, very strong. One play in particular called I guess we have to call it The Mother with the Hat.
That's the new thing.
That's what
the hat.
Mother Blanker.
It's The Mother Bleep Bleep with the Hat by Stephen Adley Gurgis, starring Chris Rock and Bobby Cannavale. Jacques, this play opened with almost no advance. A lot of people thought it was going to have to close early and it wasn't going to go anywhere. And boom, you guys loved it, and the thing is taking off.
I believe your column
Such-
pronounced it.
You had to eat your Mother Bleeping hat on that one.
We all went in with very low expectations and were very pleasantly surprised.
They love me over at that play now because I lowered the bar so significantly. You guys went and said, "This is a masterpiece."
I sat there saying, when's it going to get bad?
All right, but Jacques, so why is this play good? You enjoyed
Well,
it.
I mean, you know, I have a problem with what it's about because by the end, I still wasn't quite sure what it was about. If my colleagues can enlighten me, I would love that.
We'll fix you up, Joe.
Please fix me up. But the vibrancy of the acting and Chris Rock, I think, you know, there were times when he went into his comedy routine and you felt the whole audience, you know, sitting up and pleased to see that. But he's part of the ensemble and it works very well. I enjoyed it.
I love the play itself. I think it works really well. We can talk about what
What's
it's
it about?
Well, I think it's about addiction and patterns of responsibility or lack thereof.
moral relativism.
So we can talk about that. But I think the play is terrific and really strongly written, really muscular dialogue, beautifully acted for the most part. I think that Chris Rock is the weak link in this show.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Chris Rock is a work in progress as a stage actor. You know, this is somebody who does know how to perform.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even though, yes, I could have imagined a better performance, but he may be giving better performances now.
Let me just say, when I went to see the show, and the audience was loving it, you could see Chris Rock beginning to relax and settle in, and now begin to enjoy himself in the play. Because before, in the early previews and the rehearsals, I was told he was having some trouble. But you can see, he say, "Hey, I'm in a play that people like." Now.
He had a deer in headlight quality when I saw him, and I think at Broadway prices, it's a little harsh to have people pay for basically a really long rehearsal period in public. That's one of my pet peeves.
Speaking of Spider-Man.
But without I hate to say it, but without him in the show,
Yes,
there wouldn't be this.
Well, without him in the show, there would be a very big hit at the public with a very good actor in the part.
Well, perhaps. I think that play
Well,
belongs off
How
Broadway.
nice to have a real play, a serious play
Yeah.
on Broadway, something that we can really be enthusiastic about, something that's just as tight as an apple skin.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to say, for people who haven't seen it, we should say it's a play about a
Tell me.
no, it's a play about a working class guy in Washington Heights, I think, who's trying to get off alcohol and drugs. And it's his relationship with his girl. It's about his relationship with his girlfriend and his sponsor in AA. And I felt actually, in some ways, it played like, I don't know if Neil Simon were writing plays about minorities, addicts. This was kind of a Neil Simon play. The jokes were absolutely first rate.
But a Neil
What
Simon.
surprised me that it was put together so tightly. It's an hour 40, no intermission, not his usual practice. And I came in there, talk about low expectations, and then the curtain goes up. If I forget whether it was a curtain, but I mean the play starts, and within a minute and a half, I thought, I'm wrong. This is good. The most wonderful thing that a critic can feel. I was wrong.
Very deep, funny yet deep.
I'd like to put in a good word also for Anna Shapiro, who directed it,
Yeah.
who had not done anything on Broadway, to my surprise, since August Osage County.
No, she was supposed to do You Can't Take It With You, and it didn't work out.
It's still kind of surprising to me that she had not done a Broadway show since. I think her direction is really fantastic in that. It's completely, in fact, you don't really notice it, but it's completely dynamic and fluid at the same time. It's just a great job there.
Yeah.
It's
that she
Chicago
did.
theater.
Yeah,
very
it's
much
very,
so.
very well done. We got to push on to other things, though. Another play that many of you have liked, a play that some people have said is a modern day masterpiece. Jerusalem, Jez Butterworth's play at the Music Box Theater. Mark Rylance giving one of those fabulous, flashy Mark Rylance performances. Most people seem to like it, except Terry.
Or me. I
No,
thought it-
I didn't care for it
You
either.
didn't care for it either. All right. You.
The phrase I used was romantic twaddle. I mean, to me, it's just another replay of the celebrated British psychodrama about the self-hating middle class that wishes it was getting more sex. It's so 1928. It's a cross between D.H. Lawrence and George Orwell in his most self-flagellating mode, full of pseudo-poetry. Have I covered everything, Michael?
Elizabeth, you want to take some wax at it as well?
Well, what I found surprising is that some critics have said that Warhorse, another British import, was kind of sentimental twaddle as well. I find Jerusalem as sentimental and manipulative in its sentimentality about what England is, and maybe it's because I'm French and I really don't care. That stuff, oh wow. The problem with Mark Ron's performance, which is great, it is
So
great.
long, Shakespeare, when Elizabeth's in the room.
You know? Well, I just I don't fetishize that aspect of England. I really don't care. And frankly, fetishizing drunken louts, I just don't, I don't know. I'm sorry, it doesn't speak to me.
Jock, you're French.
Well, she's playing into the Glenn Beck, fantasy. he went to see.
Seriously.
He went to see that. What's that thing?
Spider-Man.
Yes.
I
that thing.
actually didn't
And-
hate Spider-Man. so
But when
it's
he
just-
did, when he did it,
talk about
I know.
Spider-Man.
when he
I
did
know.
his impersonation of a critic, he did it with a French
Right,
accent.
I know.
It was his.
It's an irony.
Well, just to get back to a point that you made earlier, I think this is a phenomenal season for new plays, really the strongest that we've seen in a long time. And so that's a really lovely thing. It's not true with musicals, I would agree with you there, but there's a lot of strong work in the dramatic
Good
department
people.
this year. Good people, I love.
All right, good.
Even
No,
the ones
Tito.
I didn't like are serious, you know?
Well, let's say.
Adam, tell us
Does
about
anyone
the-
want to make the case for Jerusalem before we move on, though?
Not at this table.
I didn't see it. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
well,
yet, so-
well,
We liked it. It's
Well, I think the thing with Mark Ron's performances, it's the kind of performance that wins awards. It's like Charlize Theron in Monster. It's very flashy, and that's the way the part is engineered. It's engineered to win awards. I'm more interested in an actor that has something that's not necessarily there on the page. That part is completely, that's what I mean by manipulative. And he's really great to watch because he is great to watch. I actually did like a lot of the writing, but I found it's lyricism that's misguided.
Twaddle,
So it's
twaddle.
Very
Twaddle.
twaddle.
Adam, you mentioned another play that's in contention for all the awards and got good reviews. A play called Good People.
I mentioned Good People.
By
Good
David
People,
Lindsay
David
Abaire.
Lindsay Abaire. And now David Lindsay Abaire won the Pulitzer a couple of years ago for Rabbit Hole, which is a
Horrible
play
Rabbit
that,
Hole.
well, I didn't think it was horrible, but I didn't care for it, and I thought it was overrated. I think that this play is actually a really strong piece of work, and smart and interesting and complicated, and so complicated, in fact, that it may have gone over some people's heads. But I do think that
There's
it's
nothing complicated about good people.
Well,
It's
it
very
actually it turns out. Well, it
No,
turns
it's
out it is
actually really
complicated.
complicated,
Well,
yes,
for
I
example,
agree.
some critics felt that it was a left-wing screed against the American dream and the idea of successful self-made men. And to some extent, it does critique that. But I think actually, in some ways, it's about the opposite. It's not about how everything is about luck. That's an element in it. But it's about responsibility for decisions that you make, and a major decision that she makes in particular, that it turns out to be what the play is about. And I think if you just look at it and say it's about the arbitrariness of success in American society, you are missing what the play is actually doing.
We should just say quickly that the play is about two people who grew up in a poor neighborhood in Boston.
South Boston.
One is still in the neighborhood, and the other has become a successful doctor, and they come together, and that's
And
what
Frances
Fireworks
McDormand, well, look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think that Daniel Sullivan has who directed this play, is the best director in New York. I think he has 4 secret Pulitzer Prizes. I think he directed 4 shows to Pulitzer Prizes that would not have won them otherwise,
Oh, my
probably.
God.
And I think
I agree completely.
I think that
Oh my God.
well, you
Bubble
know,
on the
Oh my
panel.
God.
the French don't have taste and direction.
Now,
But
wait a minute.
what's important
Oh, my God.
is no,
Oh,
I
my
really
God.
think that he has this gift, and maybe it's an actor thing because he used to be one, but he has this gift of finding the smartest possible version of his characters on stage. Everyone is defensible. Everyone is saying something that's smart and believable coming from them. He finds that ways to make things smart and believable within the text, even when the text doesn't
Which
fully
is
support it.
fine
Performance
for
is
some plays, but not others.
Her performance
Frances
is
McDormand.
one of the truest, steady, real performances in the theater this year, I think.
I thought she was perfect.
She was perfect, and you really sit there and, after 35 years of sitting at the theater, you see a performance like that, you can hardly believe she's going to give another one, and give 2 of them on Wednesday when they have that much authenticity.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of those actresses where you don't see the acting.
No,
You
there's
don't-
exactly.
you see the-
Boy, I did.
All right, now, all right. So Terry, Mr.
I want
you
to
did it
disassociate myself from everything, except for the parts where he was summing
All right,
up my
Elizabeth,
review.
you'll have your chance to have a go at this.
Oh, was that your review?
All right, wait.
Sorry. I'm very
All
embarrassed.
right, now, Terry, we're clearing the floor so you can attack.
Well, look, I mean,
but
I have
Terry
an hour
teaching.
here.
I had my say on Jerusalem. I'll just say that, to quote H.L. Mencken, I thought it was phony from snout to tail. And to quote myself from my review, that I thought Frances McDormand was working the charm pedal a little too hard in that performance.
Elizabeth, you were scoffing over there too.
No, actually, I really like the show. I love the show, actually, and I think she really was not working the trumpetto. It's not very sympathetic character, and she doesn't make it so. I think the play is very astute about something that is not talked that often in American theater, which is class issues and how do you deal where you come from and what you're doing yourself. But it's also very astute about poverty and the fact that a lot of people right now are not having a good time. It's about someone who loses her job and who gets completely desperate about, and she is desperate. She needs to make money because,
And that propels her to do something that
and
is...
it pushes her, and all the decisions she make really come from that. She needs to pay the rent. And clearly, I'm actually not referring to Terry, but I'm referring to another critic who didn't seem to be able to grasp the concept that some people are paychecks away from losing their home.
Hello, theater critics.
Well,
Hire me.
no, but I think
Not
it
this one. This one travels in a limousine. That's
it requires a kind of empathy there, but I think it's very astute about that aspect. Actually, really thought that Frances McDormand had the Tony in the bag until last night when I saw Born Yesterday,
Oh boy.
and I thought, wow, okay, well now there's a real fight there.
And who is that in Born yesterday?
Someone named Nina Orienda was in a off-Broadway show called The Venus in Fur last year.
Yeah. And she's a real rocket to the moon type.
Absolutely.
Came out of nowhere last year.
Everybody was talking
And-
about Venus, and she knocked it out of the park. I saw it last night, as a matter of fact. And I think not in the 8 years that I've been doing this for the Journal have I seen somebody become a star at one performance.
Wow.
This girl is the real. She is something special.
And we should say she's playing Billy Dawn in the play, the dumb blonde who's married to the thuggish tycoon.
Right.
Well, yeah,
Judy
the Judy
Holliday.
Judy
Holliday.
Holiday role.
Did you find that she had a cast to act against? I think
I
that was
actually
the
no. I actually thought Jim Belushi was surprisingly good.
He
I
was.
liked him a lot.
But
How about the
Robert
old
I
play,
like
the
the
old
old
Garson
Sauceless
Kanan
Pasta.
play? Is this old play hold up? Is it
it's
still
long.
funny?
It's awfully long.
It's well put together, though.
It's creaky at the front.
There is the civics lecture in the last.
I really enjoy that. I think it's something that bears repeating.
But it's awfully well carpentered. I was impressed.
Well, he
by
was
that.
one of the great carpenters.
Yes, in addition to all the rest of it, she finds this great business to do. It's so funny, and she has, because of the way that she's playing the character, she's so confident. There's a self-delight in all of her movement. She's in on her own joke.
No.
She's sort
Doug
of
Hughes
and
has served her
yeah,
well.
I think
He
they did
served
it lovely.
everybody well in that
director.
cast.
Yes, but
That is
this
a
is
show full
acting,
of business.
This is acting where you see every second of the acting.
But you
sit
enjoy
there-
it. It's
You enjoy it,
But
but
you're
it's
just happy to cuddle up in the palm of her hand.
the opposite of Frances
Easy.
McDormand, which is not acting.
Easy, Adam, easy.
If I,
Sorry, I love her.
This
If I
is
just-
a star turn.
Yeah, sorry,
but
Jacques.
if I had to choose between an actress who acts without acting and somebody whose every instant
You
is,
don't think
is a
Frances
performance.
McDormand doing a South Boston accent is not acting? You can hear it every second. I mean, I love that performance. Come on.
Yes, but she's not acting. She
I
is
agree.
an
I
element.
agree.
Yeah.
All right, well, I want to get to the musicals now. You mentioned Anything Goes, starring Sutton Foster at the Roundabout Theater Company. Sutton seems to be a critic's darling. She can do no wrong. Why?
A true star for the first time on Broadway in a classic musical, although this is sort of an ersatz classic musical, the book's rewritten. But she's got the songs.
She can do Ethel Merman. She really can. In the first scene, you sit there wondering, is it going to work? And it does in the very first scene.
She's
And
got
I
the
gotta
title,
say,
she's got the legs.
Ersatz are not the rewritten book. They're using the '87 Lincoln Center book, basically, and it's actually fairly close to the original 1934 version. It's actually better than the 1934 version. So it's not a travesty of Anything Goes. Anything Goes. There's nothing to travesty. It's fluff.
It is what it is.
And I think that. Look, for me personally, this part demands a bit more of a broad, but we don't have that anymore. Broadway doesn't make broads anymore.
No.
So I think they've been sitting on this production for a while and waiting for the right Reno Sweeney, and there isn't someone. So by considering that she's a little miscast, I think she does great.
Elizabeth, you're making French noises over there of
No,
disapproval.
I actually agree. I think she is miscast. I don't buy it for a second. I still enjoy her performance, but I think the show as a whole is not.
She's a good tapper.
She's a good tapper.
I love Adam Godley, who plays
He's great.
Talk
He's the
about
best.
And I also really enjoy Laura Osnes, but I think overall the production, I'm sorry, but Gabriel did not get me out. No.
You like Sister Act better?
In fact, I did.
All right, so let's do it.
All right.
Now,
All
I
right.
am ready.
Roll up the
I am
sleeves.
ready.
All right, Elizabeth. You're
all
gonna,
right.
you're actually going to make the case for this
Sister Act.
big
Throw
old
in
bloated
Priscilla.
tourist show, Sister
Is
Act.
Priscilla one
No.
of your favorites too?
No.
And it reminded her of Jerry Lewis.
I can make a case for Jerry Lewis too. With absolute confidence. No, Priscilla, I had a good time, but.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the big disco.
Right, yeah. Which,
ball.
no, I think that, I
but I
really
saw the
enjoy
movie.
Sister Act because, well, where to begin? No, I had a really good time, which I realize is not a completely scientific term that we critics are supposed to use, but I thought it was well paced. I really enjoyed the score. Actually, I'd been listening to the London recording, so I kind of knew what to expect.
Yes,
and
when you say people aren't writing songs, that score has got songs.
I think the score is real songs. I was
By Alan Menken.
by Alan Menken, who I'm really not a big
Who's never
fan.
written a full Broadway score before.
Yeah, right. He's usually augmented. Yeah.
Right. So I thought he did well. I thought the book, which has been really spruced up by Douglas Carter, was very funny. I thought the casting was all around great.
The lead
There, I'm
character is
with you.
marvelous.
The casting is
The casting is
What's
just
her actress's
wonderful.
name?
I wanted to see more Chester. I mean, even the
Bettina
smaller
Miller.
part, Chester Gregory is wonderful. I mean, just
So not a masterpiece, but an enjoyable.
No, I'm
old-fashioned
not saying it's a
musical
masterpiece at all, but I think it's a really well-made musical,
I-
and I really enjoyed it. And there's a level of craft in there that is not in a lot of other stuff.
I agree about the craft in the score, and I think that the Menken's music and Glenn Slater's lyrics, to some extent, are good and well crafted and solid, old-fashioned. I mean, new fashion because it's
Right.
70s, soul, but it has that sort of, it's good craftsmanship. It values craft, and so that part of the show I think is very effective. I think that the book does not work, even with all the tweaks that have been made. I think it's garbagey to me. It's sort of a fake farce that it doesn't earn. It starts off with a brutal onstage murder. I don't know how they're supposed to recover from that in terms of the tone. It is. He gets shot in the head on stage, and he's a sympathetic character. So I mean, I don't understand how people conceive. I think I am beginning to understand it, because Elizabeth and I usually agree on musicals, and we've disagreed a lot this year.
Yes.
She liked Priscilla and Sister Act, and I liked neither of those shows. But I think partly it's because they have an international feel. They both come from overseas, and I think that they're coming from a different tradition that doesn't take the integrated American musical theater style as seriously. And I do take it seriously. I think it can really do magic when it works well. And so I get
Integrated
bothered.
like Anything Goes, where like the songs
No, but
come
Anything
out
Goes-
of the blue,
Anything
and
Goes
which
is-
I love too.
Anything Goes
I
is
mean,
different.
you know?
But Anything Goes has no stakes. I mean, in Priscilla, you have a gang rape sequence almost, and you have violent,
my
but
God.
seriously, when you have that in a show, you can't then turn around and be like that dancing cupcakes. It's harder, at least. It's harder to
Should
do.
never
it.
have dancing cupcakes
It's harder
in any
to do.
show.
I'm not going to make that as a general rule, but
But you know, both of these shows are mimeograph, third mimeograph copies of the disco sound. And even Alan Menken is writing a disco 1978, his idea of a disco score. And Priscilla, Queen of the Desert is endlessly mimeographed. And for anybody who was here, you were too young, but who was here in the disco era,
Yes.
the things seem so
Disco shock.
so mimeographed and tired,
I-
both
so-
of
but
them.
I find it
Let's-
less-
let's Terry in here.
They are commodity theater.
Yes,
both
of
these
course.
I
shows.
find it in a way more
Recycling.
I find it in a way more honest and less mimeograph as something like Next to Normal, which got great reviews and whose score to me is just like a pathetic rock ersatz that is just so embarrassingly jejune.
I don't know what that means, but I agree.
Has actually,
French.
it's
that has
jejunocity.
actually become the lingua franca of American musical theater.
All right, well, let's talk about this.
speak.
Let's talk about this pastiche, because we have a show that is the big hit of the season, The Book of Mormon, by the guys who created South Park, and also by Bobby Lopez, who did Avenue Q. And as enjoyable as I think it is, it's a terrific show, but there's no question that score is what you're talking about. It's echoing other scores. Do you?
It has no voice, and we have a major revival on Broadway, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, which is a revival of one of the most rightly successful musicals of the post-war era, to remind us of what scores with style sound like. These scores are what used to be carbon paper, you know. We've heard mimeograph. Another dead metaphor. But I mean, whatever the merits or demerits of the book, of the lyrics, we have a real music problem. In a way, we've had it ever since rock came in, because American musical theater writers, for the most part, have not figured out how to write real rock that sounds like rock, that is used to effective dramatic stage purposes. That's why Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson stood out so strongly, because it was real rock.
It's very difficult. It's a larger issue, but I mean, rock musicals have an anxiety about using rock music, and they usually have to sort of have this distancing effect within the show, as they did in Bloody Bloody, as they did in Spring Awakening. And what I like about Next Normal, you know, as problematic as some of the rock may have been for you, is that at least it was an attempt to actually integrate a rock sound and rock sound into an integrated story musical, and not with quotation marks around it. And I thought that was a bold...
Yeah, but I want to talk about the Book of Mormon.
All right, Book of Mormon, I think I agree the score is the least interesting thing about it. It's like The Producers. It's fun in the theater, and then you're not going to listen to it on disc ever. Right. But that's all it's trying to be. It's trying to be fun in the theater, and I think it succeeds as that. What Book of Mormon has for me that the other new musicals don't this year is a really consistent tone and control of its own tone and what it wants to sound like.
I won't deny that. It's sophomoric, and if you like that, fine. I mean, I think it's amateurish, but it is what it is. It's clearly, it arises from the South Park ethos, and you know, if you're good with that, go for it.
Well,
It's not trying to please an audience. It pleases them immensely.
It is very much
but
trying
it's
to
not
please an
trying.
audience.
I don't think it's
It's
trying.
trying very hard.
I think you know. I saw the Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the night before I saw not Bengal Title. It's another. The night before.
doesn't please anybody.
The night before I saw Book of Mormon, and my thought was that at Priscilla, here was this show saying, "Love me, love me, love me," and at Book of Mormon, it was saying, "Come to me," and
you did it.
I really would like to put in a good work for Scottsboro Boys, which was in the fall, which closed
Long
too
forgotten.
early.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think in terms of consistency of tone and vision that is the most accomplished out there. I'm really afraid people have kind of forgotten about it now because he had a very short run.
And it does have a wonderful score.
I think
it's-
Scottsboro will get
I
nominated for
certainly
the
hope-
score.
Wrap it up, but I want a one-word review.
Oh.
One-word review from each of you for Frank Wildhorn's Wonderland.
Contemptible.
Blabber wacky.
I can't be as. Don't put me up
Say
in
in
him.
French, Jejune.
No, I would say
Say in
just
French.
inept.
How do you say that en français?
Inept?
You too can speak French at home.
Inept.
I didn't see it.
That's it.
Lucky Jacques.
And on that note,
All right. I hope nobody who's in the theater was offended by the conversation tonight, but they're critics. You got to live with them. They are, as Addison DeWitt says, the ants at the picnic. So thank you, ants. Terry Teachout from the Wall Street Journal, Adam Feldman from Time Out, Elizabeth Vincentelli from the New York Post, and Jacques Lesourd from CBS Radio.
We really need an hour.
for a shorter season.
Good night.
Take me to heaven. Take me to ecstasy. I'll give you all I got. 'Cause nothing's as hot as when you groove with me. No, 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 no. And when you scrunch your step and do your thing, I just can't help surrendering. You're so strong, you're so sweet, you're what makes me complete. I just worship at your feet. Take me to heaven. Take me to kingdom come. I'll take any vow. Just take me
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Alan S. Gordon Foundation, the Corey and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.